How are y'all doing? Wow. End of day one. How many of you, is this your first GATECON? All right, sweet. You digging it so far? All right. Mr. Remington Phillips, where are you, sir? Come on out, of sg1props.com. There he is. Wow, give him a hand,
Hello.
everyone.
Where's the rest of our stuff? The rest of our stuff?
Uh-huh.
The rest of our stuff is behind stage.
Oh, okay. So I guess we're gonna have to go and like get it one at a time, or?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna.
You need a microphone so that the people online can hear you.
Hello.
And the people who can't hear so well can hear you. So, what is this?
Well, what we're looking at here is a replica of one of the famous Stargate props from SG-1 called the Karakesh, or the ribbon device. This is a kind of a redesign of what was in the original movie. When they spun off the TV series, they wanted to keep some, original stuff from the movie and reimagine some other stuff. So this is one of those reimagined props that we got in the series. And for me, as well, it also happens to be the first thing that I tried replicating when I first got into props. This is a long time ago, about 20 years. So I've designed a lot of these over the years. And
Does this one light up?
this one does not light up.
Oh, okay.
And it's really just because I didn't have time to put the light bulb in it.
Is this a newer build?
Yes.
Okay.
This one is the latest one I built. I put this one together for the convention because we wanted to put something in the charity auction. So this one is actually something that you could take home.
A lot of what we're showing, you can take home at the charity auction, which is, I believe, tomorrow evening, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you're correct.
I hope so.
Yeah.
So
just a brief
yes, please.
history of like how I approach something like this and why I originally got interested in it and how the process works. This prop, it's pretty complex, even though it's relatively small. There's a lot going on with this prop. And when I first got interested in Stargate props and costuming, it was a few years into the show, so very early 2000s. And a lot of people were putting together costumes. They were trying to replicate the military jackets, the technology props, things like this. So people started asking me, hey, can you help, can you put this together for me? So this was, originally a commission for me. A friend of mine wanted to cosplay as a Goa'uld and wanted a ribbon device. So, okay, I say, I'm going to start trying to figure out how to put this thing together. And that started me on a long journey of building props, trying to figure out how these things are designed and made, and really getting into all kinds of neat fabrication as a result of it. So this one is made from resin components that I originally sculpted out of clay and made molds of, made resin casts. I put electronics in these with fingertip controls, just not on this one. And I'm actually redesigning this prop right here now because with 3D printers and laser scanners and laser cutters and things like that, I'm able to get better results. So with
under
this
normal
prop,
circumstances, how would that light up? Would you stretch?
yeah,
And the contact of stretching would activate the light?
Well, there's a lot of ways you could do it, but what you're describing is kind of what I did. What I actually did is I put a magnetic switch in one of the finger caps, so you could actually control it by moving your fingers apart. So it's kind of neat. I'm looking at other ways I can redesign that.
How did they do it in the show?
In the show,
You've inspected some of the ones from the show, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I've actually got one of the show-made ribbon devices in my shop, and I'm using that one instead of my sculpts to rebuild this. And what they did on the original prop is they used a radio controller. A lot of the stuff was actually radio controlled, so it wasn't controlled by the actors, but it was controlled by a stagehand who would be in charge of lighting up the prop or causing a sound effect to take place.
A sound effect during production.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Some props had built-in sound, and
I didn't think some of the prop on set. I would never have thought. I never sold a prop with a sound built into it. Interesting.
Ah,
Okay.
well.
That's
we got to
cool.
find you those.
Absolutely. So, so the hand device is how you got into prop making?
Yes, this was kind of my first passion project, and it's always been something I've come back to, even though I've designed dozens and dozens of other props and worked on a lot of projects, and I continue to do that. We'll take a look at a few of them, but this one's just special to me because, like I said, it was the first one I did, and it's popular. A lot of people love them, so I'm always getting requests from.
Well, if you're
people.
a Goa'uld, then yeah, it makes sense.
There are a lot of Goa'uld out there.
Absolutely, especially at the convention. I saw a Replicator humanoid walking around somewhere, but it'd be interesting for her to have one. Start spitting out blocks.
Wouldn't that be cool?
So
we actually designed a silver ribbon device with a blue light-up crystal, and we just kind of put it together for fun. But the theme behind it was that it was the ancients. They had originally made the ribbon devices as some kind of building device that could, change molecular structures and create things, and then the Goa'uld turned it into a weapon.
that's, well, somewhere, yeah. How far down the rabbit hole do you go with the technology? That was the question. Where did the Goa'uld get it from? So it was either ancients or someone else, for sure. And the crystal technology has always been the same. Where's your GDO?
GDO is behind stage and coming up right now.
Are we calling? Are they serving them to us?
They're serving us
One
props.
piece at a time? Oh, look at this. The lovely Nicole. Give an applause to Nicole, please. Give a hand to Nicole. She's the props assistant. Thank you. Sweet. And now that's for sale tomorrow night at the auction. The ring. Yes.
Yes.
So can we leave these out here? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thank you. I want to play. Thank you. Sure. No, over here.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Both of these props are going to be in the Make-A-Wish charity auction. This one does have electronics in it, so it lights up. This is a replica of the garage door opener that all the team members would, wear. We didn't always see it, but it was always presumed to be
In use.
every team member's sleeve, under the jacket. This particular prop, the reason I got into this one was that I had an opportunity to purchase the original mold from MGM of this prop. So I reverse engineered the prop from that mold in order to make it fully functional with electronics and all the original, screws and keypads and things like that. So it's very accurate to what's on screen and makes a fun display piece.
Does the spinning thing on the end spin?
Spinning thing does not spin.
Oh, boo.
But I might be potentially redesigning this as a 3D model in conjunction with a friend of mine.
So do you have batteries in there, or does one of those ports charge it?
So the way that this works is that the fake port at the end can be pulled out, and it's a USB port. You can charge it from any cell phone charger.
So this is, may I see? So this is also for sale in the auction
Yeah,
tomorrow?
this one will be in the auction. And
If I don't break it.
if David doesn't break it. The electronics in this prop are actually electroluminescent sheeting, so it's actually paper that lights up. So it's kind of nifty.
So it's micro USB, if anyone was wanting to know. It's not USB-C or that crappy older USB. So
It's the good USB.
I like USB-C.
USB-C
Jury's out
is
on that,
good.
my friend.
Yeah.
Look at this.
The only thing you can't do is actually punch in numbers and send an iris code.
But
so
it does, there's a depression, or will that eventually break them too?
you can press the buttons, but I'm just saying don't rely on it if you're going through the Stargate because they're not going to open the door.
I'm curious into the in-universe thought process behind it. Is it your opinion that SGC would send a signal back saying that the iris was open before they would proceed, or they just blindly proceed?
I think you'd have to get some kind of two-way confirmation.
You have to. Because Daniel says with Braytak coming through at one point, well, he's an ally, and if we don't open up, he's going to... So...
We never heard of an SG team going splat.
Yeah. Well, I hope not. So they just stretched out really thinly in a black hole, but other than that, so that is
Absolutely.
exceptionally cool. And so this one's also going to be going up on the auction block?
This one's in the auction block. If we get the Zat Gun brought out, then we can take a look at another prop that'll be in the charity auction.
How many pieces are you auctioning off?
We're auctioning off a few. Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
This is just your standard resin Zat
Closed
Gun.
position.
This one, I owe all the credit for this prop to my buddy in France, Julian of Atlanti Props. He actually has one of the original Zat Guns and took the time to make a mold of it, rework it, fix all the flaws, because this stuff gets so beat up on set. You know, by the time those original props leave, and David can attest to this, as he handled almost everything from the series, a lot of stuff didn't really make it off the set in pristine condition. So this Zat was actually completely reconditioned, remastered, as we call it, in prop making. And now I actually have a mold for this prop, as well as Julian. So whether you're, let's say, in the United States or Canada or Europe, you can order a prop like this and not have to have it shipped halfway across the world.
You want to talk about the originals, how they were air charged? So
Yeah.
where the purple end is, there was a hole.
Yeah, so the original Zat Gun, probably even before they made the solid plastic ones or the solid resin ones, were pneumatic. So they were air-powered, and they would have a air port at the bottom of the Zat, and it would run through a hose, essentially.
And up the actor's sleeve.
Yep, up the actor's sleeve. And, when actuated, pneumatic air pressure would cause it to pop straight up. Very, finicky technology, but they use that same technology for the Zat Guns and for the staff weapons. So the original, well, actually in the movie, in the feature film, the staff weapons were had some actual, pyrotechnic charges in them.
Wow, because I knew they blew smoke.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
And then for the series, they just made them air powered.
But by the end, they were battery powered.
Exactly. So by the end of the series, MGM had paid to have the Zat Guns and the staff weapons all electronic with micro servos. So tiny miniature robotics inside of these things and armatures that would allow them to open at a press of a button and close at the press of a button. Really, really advanced stuff. I've tinkered a lot with that.
What
And-
frustrated me about the Zat Gun, aside from the story problems that they caused, was the Cobra head would strike, but the visual effects would obscure it. You couldn't see it do that. And if you're looking really closely, in some cases, you'll see it stretch and come back. But the visual effect was obscuring that effect so often that you just couldn't see that magic happen.
Very true, and I think part of the reason for that was that they were very finicky on set, and they didn't always work, and
Right.
certain actors apparently would drop them regularly,
I can't imagine which one would do that.
and the props was constantly fixing these things. So, the gentleman who originally designed all this stuff, I've had a lot of great conversations with him, and he'll tell stories about how frustrating it was, and it was basically like at the end of the shooting, they'd be handing him back the props saying, "Here, fix this."
The Wraith over-the-shoulder cannons, like what would you call Wraith blasters from Rising?
Yes.
They had a light on the end of it, and visual effects hated that light because they didn't want the actors to, especially when the actors aren't like reacting to a release of the energy. They didn't want the actors to have the ability to control when the weapon fired. And so they would have to often paint out the firing of the yellow at the end of the bulb at the end of the Wraith blaster so that they could shoot it in the edit room at the moments that it needed to be shot. So a lot of times, what you see as movie magic is them painting away stuff that you're not supposed to know is there, and if they do their job right, it looks like they never even touched it.
And it's worth mentioning just how intricate and well designed these props were. As David said, it's small details like an LED light at the end of a weapon prop, or take the Naquita generators, for example, from SG-1 in Atlantis. I've had the opportunity to inspect that prop and actually completely disassemble and reassemble that prop. And I mean, you're talking about individual pieces that were all machined from aluminum. Probably something that if you wanted to actually make it yourself, and conceivably MGM would have paid tens of thousands of dollars to have a machine
R&D,
shop.
yeah.
Yeah.
And these props get better as we go along. Trust me on this one. So what else do we have?
Well, the other next two props are Atlantis props, a replicator pistol and a turtle brooch. Those would be brought out
The
for
ancient
us.
shield generator?
Yeah.
The ancient personal shield? Nicole, meet you at door number 1.
So these two props are current R&D. So these are production prototypes that we recently completed.
I have the metal one. So this is like a freaky moment for me. So, wow, this is great. So are you gonna have? Is this one gonna light?
Absolutely. So this is just the first generation prototype.
Does this come off like the other one does?
Yeah. Well, it's glued
Okay.
on.
I'll leave it on. Yeah.
So the current stage of a project like this is every part of the original prop was molded and designed.
Yeah. It was water cut aluminum.
Right. Yeah.
And they used water to actually cut the metal.
Yeah, so if you don't know a lot about manufacturing techniques, water jet cutting of metal is extremely advanced and very effective. So a prop like this, they could have done it a lot of different ways, and they decided to make it actually out of a solid piece of aluminum and mill each of these pieces individually. Now, for someone like me and certainly the fan community, that could be quite an undertaking and probably
To reverse engineer.
Well, it could be done. I mean, I've walked into machine shops who I've talked about various props with, and they're like, yeah, we could water jet that, but it'll be $20,000.
Yeah. But this is Atlantis we're talking about, so I mean, like the oversight committee in Washington gave Atlantis all the money anyway, so
Absolutely. So this is where a prop like this would go. As someone who's replicating this, pardon the pun. The next things that I'm doing, are designing the electronics. So I have the original electronics from this prop, and I've been able to study, what they did in order to originally light it up, and I would, aspire to light it up in a way that's true to the original.
They did metal ones and they did stunt ones, and the rubber stunt ones are a fraction as cool as the metal ones are. These holes here are where magnets would go, so it would literally lock into place and lower it here. And then here's obviously the trigger, but they would hide up a switch, a tiny switch here that would make this light up and make the letters light up as well. And it is simply one of the coolest pieces that I own, period. These were made for season 3 of Atlantis, so they were well into production on Stargate, and at that time they could afford things like, water cutters, and it showed in the production for something that doesn't really get seen on screen except for a couple of beats when the puddle jumpers knocking humanoid replicators over like bowling pins.
Yeah, sometimes you have to really respect how much work went into a simple prop that barely got any screen time. Again, we're talking about something that was, designed on a computer and eventually fed into machines and manufactured. And they didn't have to make something this advanced. They could have just, went to Toys R Us, grabbed a cheap toy gun, and
like they did for Wormhole
engineered
Extreme?
it. Yeah.
For sure.
Another little prop that is in production. This is another prototype. This is the ancient personal shield or turtle brooch.
According to David Hewlett.
According to David Hewlett. And David, you're familiar with this
am.
prop?
Did I give you mine?
You did.
Do you still have mine?
I do.
I forgot. I have no idea what the hell of mine he has except for the Atlantis logo, so, and maybe like a Wraith gun or something. You better give them back.
I should probably not have mentioned that I still had
this
that.
opens up in the middle, and 6 little watch batteries make this thing glow like a radioactive reptile.
Yeah, so the original prop, like David said, it's run on a whole bunch of watch batteries. What we're doing as SG1 Props is putting a lithium-ion battery in here, and we'll be able to put as many LEDs in here as we need to make this thing shine, and it'll just be rechargeable, just like the GDO, by plugging it into a USB.
They had several different versions of it. The one I own has a button that's the size of the head of a pin, and it's right here, front and center. You'd never even notice it. It's just painted gray. And so as they applied it, if they had a metal piece underneath and a magnet here, they could just press to their chest at the same time and have it stay on. There was a manual release one that could release the magnet from behind David as he suddenly realized that he was about to go into danger and didn't want to, continue wearing it anymore at the end of hide and seek. And then they had the ones that were used for Richard Kind. Man, it's the most un-ancient-y prop, though. It in itself is cool, but if you look at the production artwork for it, it's not green, it's blue. Yeah. And I don't understand what anyone would have thought with green. I guess maybe puddle jumper, maybe? But it's very un-ancient-y.
It definitely doesn't fit in the rest of the set, but people seem to love it. I mean, it had a great storyline. It was in memorable episodes. And, I always thought it'd be fun to actually design the replica so that it truly did switch on using a magnetic switch as soon as, you put it up to your shirt and you've got a pin or something hidden behind it.
Do you have any other pieces to share?
I do have other pieces to share. Whatever else is on the tray, I'd say, could be brought
Except for
out.
my stuff, Nicole. I think you have a certain... a certain SGU item?
Leave the SGU item.
Oh, not yet.
Okay.
Aww.
A simple prop.
Lean it forward. I love the Ooh, I want one. I want me one of them.
So
wow. Whoa.
A nice little collection.
I have an original. I did not 5-finger discount these or any of the stuff that I have. I'm noticing I'm saying I have a lot. No, I bought. So I had no money after I left PropWorks. So this, I can't tell the difference between where my original ends and yours begins. Like, I can't tell anymore. You've gone so frickin' accurate that it's just mind-blowing, the craftsmanship.
Well, and part of what goes into making that actually happen is the fact that for a prop like this, you could spend hours trying to match the original paint and characteristics that they used on the series, and ultimately what I had to do for this particular prop and subsequently a lot of my other projects is actually design my own paints. So I'm actually mixing and creating my own paints in order to create things like this. So this is actually automotive paint that is I'm actually mixing in the shop in order to spray on these props, because nothing. I tried dozens of different over-the-shelf products, and no paints came close to.
I think the automotive paint would be like the closest.
And that was where it was at. It was in various automotive pigments that are sold for high-end automobile paint jobs, and that's what these are painted with. So
wow,
very fancy stuff. Just in a nice.
See if I can dial universe.
Display box.
Hang on. Dial universe, but like call universe. Nah, Eli's not on the other end. Okay.
You still
must
David?
be in the hotel somewhere. I'm still David, but am I David Reed? Could be David Blue. All right. These are some of my favorites.
And this one will be available in the GATECON auction. So you'll have the opportunity to go over to the sales room.
I'll see you there.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I've seen some people have already, put their mark down on this prop, so you'll have the opportunity to get into a bidding war if you want.
Is there a certain floating thing left, or do you have other things?
I think there is a certain floating thing.
Is it a Kino? Aki? No. Wow. Check this out. So you got your hands on the original molds for this guy. It's, I believe, 3 layers of ball.
This one is 2 layers.
This one is 2 layers. So
Technically, it's 4 pieces. 4
yes,
separate pieces.
1, 2, and then on the inside, 3, 4.
And this right here would probably be the most tricky prop to make resin castings of. You know, it's like David said, it's got 4 separate pieces because it's a hemisphere. So you got 2 different segments here that are attached, and there's the inner core of the Kino prop, and then there's the outer shell. And the way that these are made on the series is that it's not a hollow plastic ball with something else inside of it. It's actually clear resin with your encapsulated prop inside of it, which is tricky. And I respect all of the makers out there who do resin encapsulation as a profession, because it's very tricky to get it right.
The props house for Universe PropWorks did not get the Universe stuff, so it was very sad. I don't think PropWorks was continuing at that point anyway, but there was another props house that got all of the SGU stuff, and I bought a few pieces from them, and they weren't labeled, in my personal opinion, labeled as well. I just wish they had a better Stargate fan on site for that. But the Kinos, I wanted one so bad, and the originals went for, because there were 3 or 4 heroes, and they I think went for like $2 grand a piece. Then the Kino sled came along, and someone got the bright idea to grab that thing, which I think he paid like $400 or $500 for, flipped the thing over, and popped all the half hemispheres off the bottom, attached them together, and sold them each for a buttload of money, and that is one of the ones that I own. So I own 2 hemispheres of the bottom of the Kino sled. I don't know what happened to the top of it, but that was on one hand I'm like, you jerk, don't damage a screen-used prop like that, and on the other hand, this is a screen-used element. So,
well, in that respect, that particular prop was made up of lots of little props that all stood up on their own. So this is just a really neat piece, and I think from Universe, it's probably one of the top 2 props from that series, outside of the long-range communication station that would go along with the stones.
Is my piece left back there?
You've got your piece left on the table.
I do want to bring my piece out that I brought.
Yeah.
Nicole, it's a little guy. It makes a chittering sound when it's upset. That sounds about right. Thank you. Thank you.
Look at that.
Tell me that you cannot hear an image or the music that goes with him. You're all thinking of it right now. Before I move on to this, James Robbins, what an incredible designer. We were supposed to have him this weekend, but he's working on a new project. So many of these guys are busy as they ever have been. This is a 3D print from 3dtech.pro. They are one of the partners for Dial the Gate. Has anyone seen the spider-shaped replicator in the other room? Okay, there's a full-size version A replicator in one of the other rooms that someone's been taking photos. I don't think it's up for sale. It's this. If 3dtech.pro didn't release that one, they got it from someone who got his files, because it's the exact same thing. This is a 1/2 scale version B replicator that was introduced in Enemies in season 5, and it is up for sale in the live auction tomorrow night. And the feats that I had to go through to get this thing here, crossing an entire continent in my hand for like 3 days. I felt like Elaine with the 3 tenors poster in Seinfeld, trying not to get it damaged. So, but we got it here, and hopefully it'll go to a nice home, and I don't know, maybe terrorize someone's grandkids. So
keep it away from sensitive electronics.
No, exactly. And by no means let it get near another one, because that's how you get more replicators. So,
and don't feed it or get it wet
after midnight.
Midnight, right? I got that backwards.
What now? What's backwards?
you don't want to feed it after
Oh,
midnight.
oh,
or
you
be
mean
at
your
wet
analogy.
period.
No, you're good. You're good. Now, you have something that I have been looking forward to seeing that David Hewlett requested a while ago, and this is actually a fulfillment for him. I'm guessing, unless you pulled like a horrible joke on me and said, "Oh, David, no, we never had that. We were just kidding."
There could be something, I don't know. Nicole will have to see if there's anything left behind.
Paper bag back there.
Paper bag.
Oh, someone's been shopping at Rexall.
Rexall. I don't know what you can buy at Rexall these days.
Certainly not like a vacuum energy device.
Let's see what we found at Rexall.
Pardon me.
So right here we have your new energy source of the future.
Now let's connect it to Vancouver. Give the people free power. Nah, I don't want our solar system blown up.
Yeah, I was going to say, that could be dangerous. Rodney with this technology is not a good mix.
Wow. My problem with the fan ones that have been released is that they are not properly to scale. Someone has eyeballed them and has made a prop out of them, out of what they've seen online, and it's not proportioned. It looks great, but I sold the others, and no one, I'm in a rare position to myself be like, it's great, but it's not right. And to have like the candy glass kind of, I guess, smoke kind of texture. I mean, they're basically like a collection of Jolly Ranchers. It really is that kind of a look. And then the circuitry is so hard to achieve because it has a certain like black gooey Armus type TNG look in and of itself, and it's just one of the coolest. It was hard to sell them. I wanted to really set one aside for myself, and I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I was like, every one of them needs to go to fans, and dude, this has been well worth the wait. So give them a hand. What craftsmanship! My gosh.
Thanks, David. So, this particular prop, the design process for replicating it is pretty intense. I mean, to start with, I do have one of the original props that David sold that he wanted to keep, but he sold. So I do have one of those original props, and
so cool.
I was able to use that original prop to make a direct copy. So this is not only is it the right proportions, as David pointed out, a lot of the replicas have not been, but every crystal is the same on this prop. Every line is the same as the original because it's a direct copy of the original.
So when you go into production, you're going to be the one that people are going to want to go to if they want an authentic one.
For authenticity, absolutely. And again, I mean, I love the hobby. I love my fellow makers. Everybody who wants to 3D print and design something, I will always be the one cheering you on. But my thing is just getting intense screen accuracy. That's my passion. So this particular prop, like I said, it was directly molded off the original, and then we spent probably about 50 to 60 hours meticulously looking at every single crystal, and comparing it to screenshots from the show, making sure that any damage that was incurred during production, we fixed it.
Clean it up.
So it's cleaned up perfectly.
I can't even tell where the switch is. So if you want to know, the switch on the heroes was here, between the neck and the lid. So just really tiny black piece. So well done, sir.
Thank you. I extend credit for this project beyond myself to my colleagues and friends, Nicole West, who's been bringing out props, and Julian of Atlantic Props, who've both collaborated with me on this project in order to make it happen. So we've been working on this for over a year now.
And David Hewlett's going to get one of the first ones.
And David Hewlett is going to get one of the first ones.
Martin McClean, where are you, brother? Come on up here. Bring your goodies. Why are you all the way back there? No, him, not you. Oh, no, not you.
We talked
I'll
about
take a
you.
hug, though. Thank you. I'm messing
side.
with her. Hello, Martin McClean. Hello, sir. Martin is responsible for a number of the items that are on the Dial the Gate set, and he goes like all in with the clamshell cases. So what do you got here?
So there's two things, both for the charity auction tonight. The first one, let me just, my prop. You want to be the handler? Okay, awesome. So the first one is Stargate. They're both Stargate Atlantis. They're both 3D printed props that I designed and built myself based on as close as accuracy as I could find to do that. So they both have working electronics in them as well. So the first one is the Atlantean hand scanner, and I think if David turns it on, you'll see there's a working display. That's right, David has one as well. I have a philosophy now that whatever I make, I just make another one for David, because if he wants it, I'll just make it. I'm currently putting his Naquita generator together at the moment, which he'll be very happy about, I think. And then when you insert this in this proximity base, so you can see the ancient light in, light up. The idea being that if you obviously possess the gene, then you trigger it off. No, not on this one. Slight modification. Okay. So that one's available tonight for anyone who would like to auction that, and hopefully we can raise some great money for charity there.
His technical schematics. He has schematics that he has worked through.
Yes, there's some of those in there. There's lots of different instructions, so if you're looking on how to use it. There's a couple of different modes in that scanner. The first one is just the normal scan mode, and the second button activates the Wraith detection mode. There is a Wraith scenario in there where you see all the different lights.
We lose one dot.
Yes, so after a while it starts to sort of...
How cool are all the decals on this box? Ancient gene required,
It does
restricted
take a lot
equipment.
of time.
Atlantis asset tag. I mean, this is what you would imagine they carried the prop in on the show.
So this one is the motion control light up Atlantis door control. So I designed this one. I think there's a button on the back there. If we just switch that on just there. It'll take a few seconds the electronics will detect the light in the room, and then eventually it will adjust, and you can see the lights come on there. And there's a magnetic attachment there. You can pull the door off and put it on the real one. So that, yes. I originally made it full scale, but it's so big on your wall that it's they're huge, and so it became sort of prohibitive to put on.
I remember when you were designing your full scale one, and I was so impressed. And this one, just being something that could easily be displayed, is beautiful.
No, the crystals don't come out. The crystals don't come out. The original one I designed had a series of different crystals you could put in, and you get different lighting effects, but it just became too problematic for people to keep on doing it all the time, so I just changed the design around.
And you've got the magnetic
yes,
door.
Just clips
like
on.
So much of their stuff was just magnetic, so it was movie magic. They could just pop it off and put it back on. And damn, you guys are artists. Have you met before?
No.
This is
I don't
our
think so.
first time.
Remington, pleasure. How are you?
I'm
Nice
excited to
you.
meet you in person, finally.
Likewise, I love your work. There's like an Atlantis plaque in there as well for anyone, and there's some blueprints and instructions and things like that as well. So there's lots of things in there.
For all the work that you have done, that you've continued to do. He just thinks through this whole thing and gives instructions for all of it. The Atlantis blueprints are some of my favorites, and I think GateWorld has.
Yeah. Darren put those online as well, so you can download all the different sizes for free. Just go to GateWorld and search for Atlantis poster, and you'll find it. And it's available in different sizes, made for your iPads and PCs and your Macs and things like that. So you can just download it and use those as you wish.
Well, thank you for coming up.
Thank you, David.
And sharing. And did you make this as well?
Yes, so this is just a simple magnetic plaque that you can put on your fridge or anywhere that you want it to be. It's just a 3D rendered version. I think that's aluminum. It may not work on that.
This has been such a pleasure. Thank you, sir. I'll keep these. You may go. No, it's good. All right. Guys, I hope you've had a wonderful first day of GateCon and continue to enjoy the rest of the convention. Thank you so much for being with us this evening. Big applause to these guys here. Just artists, absolute artists. We're going to go ahead and wrap up the show so that they're going to convert this whole space into a nice big eatery and enjoy the rest of GateCon. So thank you again, Remington. Thank you, Martin. My name is David Reed. We'll see you on the other side.